you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Who let that lady in the room? The Chris Voss Show, the show that's so hot, I burnt my ear off listening to it yesterday. I've got, seriously, third-degree burn marks. Anyway, that's probably not a good thing to tell people. They'll be like, I'm not listening to that. I don't need burn marks on my ears, Chris. I'm just teasing. What's the right word? I kind of technically did. I virtually got ear burn, but it was a good ear burn. You know, it's kind of like when you burn the calories. It was kind of that feeling. Anyway, I don't know what I'm just meandering the ramble as I make it up this time. Anyway, guys, go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, or you might get burned. LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss, Facebook.com, and all those crazy places on the internet. Today, as always, we have an amazing guest. When do we not have amazing guests on this show? Pretty much whenever it's just me sitting and talking on the mic, that's why. But we have one today, and we're going to be talking about his latest book and his insights and everything that went into it, and we're going to learn some things today. We have Yosi Amram on the show with us today. We're going to be talking to him about his book, Spiritually Intelligent Leadership, How to Inspire by Being Inspired, out October 31, 2023. So we'll get into his details and everything about him that you need to know, or else. I don't know what that means. You need to know or else. So we'll get talking to him about what's inside his new book and everything about that as I try and search for his bio so I can read it. Yosi is a PhD. He's a distinguished psychologist and executive coach catering to CEOs, entrepreneurs, and other influential speakers, and a pioneer researcher in the field of spiritual intelligence. He holds an MBA from Harvard University and a PhD from Sophia University in clinical transpersonal psychology. He is committed to enabling individuals to unlock their boundless potential through spiritual intelligence, which is a profound connection to the core of one's existence, their spirit, where inspiration, their deepest interconnectedness resides, that enriches their overall functioning and improves their effectiveness and enhancing their well-being. And who doesn't want all that? Welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
Good. I'm happy to be here with you. I've just been being infected by your good sense of humor. And I just love it that you enjoy yourself. You seem to have a good sense of humor, and I'm enjoying just being here with you.
That's what we do. We make it an enjoyment, fun, energetic romp on the Chris Voss Show. Give us your .coms. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
They can find me actually at yosiamram.net, just YOSIAMRAM.net. That's kind of my mother website, and from there I have a coaching website for yamram.com. I have a different website for people who want to do assessment on spiritual intelligence and spiritually intelligent leadership. I host regular awakening spiritual intelligence events that are free, and you can find out about that from there. And then I have a psychotherapy website called yosiamram.com. So hopefully I haven't confused you, but the entry point for all of this is yosiamram.net. Mm-hmm. And so
give us a 30,000 overview. What's inside your book?
Inside my book is first of all, what is spiritual intelligence and why it's important. I see it as the next major big thing that I hope in 10, 15 years will be as widely understood and in the zeitgeist the way emotional intelligence is today. Up to 30 years ago, whenever emotional intelligence was just in its infancy, we used to think that there's a dichotomy between being emotional and being reasonable. If you said, oh, so-and-so is emotional, you'd be like, oh, I don't know that I want to deal with them. But then emotional intelligence came and said, oh, no, actually, someone who's emotionally intelligent, they could be sharp and cognitively intelligent, but they can also be emotionally intelligent, and that collapsed this dichotomy. I think that similarly in our culture, there's a dichotomy between spiritual and practical. The spiritual is, you wear malas and you believe in angels and, whatever, and has no practical thing. But spiritual intelligence says no. Actually, if you look at the virtues and qualities that have been hailed by all the world's spiritual traditions, like purpose and service and compassion and gratitude and humility and joy and integrity, these help us in our daily lives. And these are not momentary experiences. It's not a spiritual belief in a deity or in the afterlife. And it's not a momentary experience. It's actually the embodiment of these qualities. And modern research in the field of positive psychology and leadership development now highlights how these very same qualities contribute to our functioning and well-being, better satisfaction of life, quality of life, productivity, resilience, mental health, effective leadership. So, first of all, the book is trying to explain what is spiritual intelligence, which I just tried to do in 1 minute. And then secondly, how that leads to inspired leadership and leaders that are inspired. And then when we're inspired as leader, that's when we can inspire others. So obviously you can't lead anybody else until when you're leading yourself. You can't inspire anyone else until when you're inspired. And so the key to unlocking that is to awaken our spiritual intelligence, connect with our life force, our spirit, get inspired, and then our energy radiates out and draws others to us and to our vision.
Mm-hmm. It's all about that energy. Yeah, you can't ask people to do something that you're not bought and sold into. So if you're not fully sold into being, inspired, energetic, motivated, it's really hard to fire other people up. Because you can't just go out and give a stump speech to your employees and be like, yeah, I need you all to get really inspired right now. And yeah, I want everyone to be real excited.
Yeah.
It doesn't work very well if you're low energy.
Yeah, so you have to have a vision and a mission that calls you, that you're passionate about, and then find people that line up with that and want to share in that vision and that mission and build a community of people that are aligned around that. So you have to align your personal purpose and vision and mission with that future that calls you forth, that you want to put your heart and soul, blood, sweat, and tears and all you got into realizing that vision. Mm-hmm. And then other people see you with that passionate engagement and putting all you got towards it. So if they share those values, then they're called to join you. And then you have an aligned group of people that have that shared sense of purpose, and that gives them a sense of community and belonging, and everybody's rowing in the same direction, and there's not much politics and egos and people working against each other in a territorial politics in a which is toxic and demotivates and de-energizes people.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you grow up? What interests you? How did you get into this field, writing books and stuff like that for it? Tell us about your journey through life. What shaped you?
Okay. How many hours do we get?
Well, we only have about an hour and 40 minutes or so, you're going to have to speed run it.
Good. Okay, an hour and 40 minutes. I'll have to talk quickly. It all started just a year and a half ago. No, I'm a little over a year and a half old, as you might imagine, but it actually started I was born and raised in Israel. It's a turbulent part of the world right now. I had...
Seriously? The Middle East? No way.
Yeah, and at age 18, I was drafted into the military, even though I was pacifist in my leanings. And fortunately, it was a peaceful time. I had the fastest promotion record in the history of my regiment, so I excelled at it. But the military chafed at my soul. The command and control model, while effective and necessary in battle, you don't have time to put people into a conference room and do whiteboarding and consensus building. You got to go. And that's effective and necessary in battle, but it doesn't inspire and motivate the best in people. I resolved that someday I want to build an organization based on different, more humanistic values that pull and bring out the best in people. And that led me to come to the U.S. and study and went to MIT and Harvard and all of that, and then become an entrepreneur. I started and ran 2 companies that I had the good fortune to take public. And they were sort of my experiments in trying to build an organization that brings out the best in people. Mm-hmm. Now, I was so committed to my first startup and second startup. I was working 70, 80 hours a week. I burnt myself. I got depressed. I hit what in spiritual circles would be called the dark night of the soul. And I persisted and so on. And out of that, I had a spiritual awakening where one time I was lying on a massage table. I was relaxing after our public offering. Our stock price was going up. I was running around like crazy trying to keep up with all the business, and I was trying to relax. And while I was lying on the massage table, somehow my consciousness, my awareness shifted, and I started to feel like the floor was inside me. I was looking through the face cradle. My body was made of consciousness, of awareness. And the separation between matter and consciousness dissolved, and everything became like this interconnected living and breathing web of life that I was a part of. And that blew my circuit up, and I couldn't contain it. And I was the CEO of a public company, so my board freaked out, and they put me on a leave of absence, and that was very traumatic, and our stock price got cut in half and so on. Wow. But that changed the direction of my life. I was like, what is this about? Was this just craziness? Or why did I burn myself out working so hard? What did it all mean? And I was fortunate enough to invest and mentor and be an angel investor with other entrepreneurs. And I wanted to work deeper with them. So that change led me to go and pursue a PhD in psychology, to understand myself, to understand what were these spiritual experiences about. Were they real? Were they delusional? And that led me to uncover this term called spiritual intelligence that was coined by someone else, but it wasn't defined. And I set out to understand it, do the research, do the science behind it. And that's what led me to today, where spiritual intelligence is my passion, how it contributes to leadership, and how it contributes to our living inspired, empowered, and connected life more broadly.
Definitely. One of the things you talk about on your website is you talk about, as a CEO, you need someone who's been there, and some of the coaching that you do and stuff like that. You talk about the position of CEO is a lonely one. And you were a CEO for over 14 years. I've been a CEO since 18, and I totally agree with that. It is one of the most loneliest places on earth, especially when you're an entrepreneur and you're highly successful. Everyone looks to you, your vice president, your board, your investors. Everyone looks to you you're the leader. Go do the leading thing, and you're like, what do I do again? And it's hard because there's no one behind you that you can really turn to and be like, hey, so does the buck stop with you or does it stop with me? And they're like, no, it stops with you, eh? And you're like, damn it, there's nobody else. That's one of the things that you find in being an entrepreneur is that loneliness and that alienation sometimes from other people, because you can't, it's a lot of stuff you go through, a lot of the self-accountability and a lot of the self-actualization that you have to deal with. It's a lonely road, man. You're the one on it, and everyone heaps everything on you and be like, you're the leader, go do that and carry us all out of here. And you're just like, that's a lot of work. Thanks. That's fun.
Yeah, and what do we do in the moments when we're down and we're feeling insecure?
Alcohol, sex, and hookers. Drugs and hookers.
Okay.
Did I get the answer right? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know.
That's an old
how's it working for you?
Hookers and blow. That was the joke I was searching for. Not in that order. People always ask me on Facebook. They go, what are you doing, Chris? I go, hookers and blow. What are you doing tonight, Chris? Hookers and blow. Not in that order. And it's the not in that order that makes it kind of funny, because you're like, what? Anyway, so that's not the correct answer then, hookers and blow. All right. Note to self. So through your book, you help people turbocharge their emotional intelligence with the power of spiritual intelligence. Tell us what that looks like, or what that feels like, or how do you get people turboed up? You got to get some nitrous and jam it up their bum, or what do you got to do there?
You got to connect with your spark. You got to find sacred spark that's inside all of us, which is our life force. And so it has to begin with, connecting with our spirit. What is spirit? It comes from Latin. The root is spiritus, is the animating breath of life. And thankfully, we're all here still alive, and we have a life force. And that life force is incredible. It's a miracle. When we connect with it and we bring awareness and fan it, then our flame burns hot, and then that draws others to us. We have to connect with our sense of purpose, why we're here, what gifts life has given us that are unique to us. And because when we express those gifts, that actualizes what we're here. If I give you a gift for your birthday, and then a month later I come to your house and I see it was never unpacked, I'm going to be disappointed. Say, hey, why did I give you that gift? Now, life gave each of us a gift, which is, first of all, the gift of life. Second of all, it's our unique talents and superpowers. Whether we're a musician, we're a singer, we're a mathematician, we're a programmer, we're a graphic designer, each of us have our unique gifts. And when we actualize those gifts and use them to contribute and make a difference, then our life has meaning, has purpose. We know why we're here. We have a reason to get out of bed in the morning. So it's connecting to our life force, connecting to our gifts, giving our life meaning, giving our life purpose. And that's kind of the beginning of it. But then we have all these qualities, like I mentioned, and trust and beauty and joy. And, like you seem to be having fun, and you bring this joy and humor to your work, and that draws people and it energizes you. That's what I see. And I'm having fun being here with you and your sense of humor. And so that's one of your gifts, and you're using it right now on your podcast, and you're making your podcast entertaining, and that draws a certain audience that resonates with that sense of humor. Now, some people may not like your sense of humor, but that's fine. They go elsewhere, right?
They can go elsewhere.
They can go elsewhere.
That, or they can keep listening, see if something finally strikes their fancy, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you take yourself lightly also. You're like, okay, this is me, and you have the courage to be your unique, authentic self. So that's your authentic self expressing, and then the people who resonate with that join your podcast, and your podcast is doing great, right? Yeah. And it's because you chose to leverage your unique strength, be who you are, and let people who resonate with that join you. So right there, you're a good example.
I try to be a good example. You got to enjoy life. You got to, like you say, we try and inspire our audience on the show. And if you want to, get people fired up, you want to get them excited about what you're talking about in life, it's all about the energy. It's funny. One of the things that our audience tells us about the show is a lot of times they listen for the first 10 minutes and they listen to see if the guest is interesting. And then they listen for the guest bio, and they want to know if they, who is this guest? Is this topic interesting to me? Yada, yada, yada. And we always tell people that the one thing that keeps people listening, even if they're not interested maybe in the guest topic, because we run the gambit here of topics. If the guest has got energy, they're inspiring, as you put it, and they know their stuff. They've got some great credentials. You're a PhD. We have a lot of people on there, professors and stuff like that. They'll listen. They'll keep listening to them. And that's why the show's got like a 96% or 94% listen rate, where they listen to the whole show. I think they cut out at the end because they know that I'm going to a new show. But then they move to that one. But that's really the key. And if the guest doesn't have energy, they won't listen to the show. They'll back out of the show. Yeah.
So you feel the person's spirit, their life force.
I think sometimes they'll keep listening. Sometimes for me, because they're like, let's see what kind of jokes Chris makes off this boring guy, or a woman.
I'll try and be boring, and then you could tell some more jokes.
Don't do that. You're doing great so far. So yeah, and so they really love energy, and like you say, if you want to inspire others, just like your title of your book, you've got to be inspired.
Yeah.
You had the Emmett Shear, am I pronouncing that right? The founding CEO of Twitch, give you a plug on the book too.
Yeah. He's been one of my clients. And so, yeah, he's a bright guy and done some interesting things.
Mm-hmm. And your book won the Nautilus Book Awards Gold Medal winner in leadership. We should probably get that plug in there as well. What are some things that you do on your website for coaching for people, helping people? What sort of services do you provide there?
Well, I work as a coach with leaders, primarily CEOs, and help them, at multiple levels. One is I've been in their shoes. Like you said, I've been a founder, CEO of companies. So I know what they're going through. I know what it takes to raise money, to manage a board, to build a team, to work with customers and keep your employees and culture high energy and vibrant. So there's the leadership side, there's the business side, and then there's the internal psychology side, which is, to believe in ourselves, to have trust in ourselves, to have trust in our vision and the future that's calling us, and then stoke that fire. So it's really bringing together the tangible business understanding, it's the leadership principles around inspiration, and it's the psychological makeup that keeps us in a positive mindset and believing in ourselves and maintaining our health and well-being at all levels, which is physical health, emotional health, mental health, and spiritual health. Because when we're healthy and whole, that's when we're most aligned and energized and empowered. If I'm divided and I'm weak and I'm not getting good sleep, I'm not in physical shape, my energy is depleted. I start to burn out. And that's what happened to me, that led to that depression and dark night of the soul. So I know that can be happen to anybody. And I help my clients make sure that they are in the top of their game, because, everybody's looking at them. And when people come into the office or watch their leader kind of depressed and down, they say, oh, there's something wrong with the business. What's going on? And then they lose motivation, energy, and confidence. So as you say, it's the energy you're putting out, but it has to be authentic. You could fake it for a while, but after a while, that depletes us more when we're feeling discouraged, depressed, depleted inside, but we're putting out this brave face. That starts to feel like the imposter syndrome. And over time, it doesn't work. We get more depressed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally. It can really make a difference in everything you're doing and leading. So you've got the book there. You've got some resources for meditation. How important is meditation in what you do and the services and trying to get people on the spiritual path?
I think meditation could be important. It's one tool. There are other tools. Other people pray. Other people spend time in nature. I mean, the point of meditation is to connect with ourselves and to learn to read ourselves, our cues. What are we aware of? What is our emotions? If we're not self-aware, where are you going to find your power? You can't find your power out there. You can't find your wisdom out there. You have to find your wisdom. It's your wisdom. It's your power. It has to be inside you. And so you have to be able to read yourself, be attuned, be self-aware. So, if you're getting angry, you're aware you're getting angry, but you're not acting it out. And sometimes being angry is fine as a leader, and it gives you the energy and motivation to put your fist down and say, stop, no, we can't do this, not acceptable. You put a boundary. But if you're not aware that you're angry, you might just start screaming and cursing and whatever, acting out your anger, as opposed to channeling that energy in a positive way. So self-awareness is super important, to be aware, and meditation can help us know what's happening and tap into our intuition. And, we have to do all the analysis, the analytical thinking, the spreadsheets and all of that. But at the end of the day, as a leader, you also have to tune into your gut. What's true? What's your North Star? And meditation helps you be in touch with yourself so you can sense, is this resonating as true or not? Am I getting more alive, more open, more spacious when I think about this, or am I contracting, shrinking, my breathing is stopping, and I'm sensing, there's something about this that doesn't feel right. So reading the cues and the intelligence of our body requires, that self-awareness, that self-knowledge. And that's been, from the Greeks, they were talking about know thyself. Know thyself is kind of a key thing. And I think that meditation is a helpful tool. There are other ways that people can tune in and be in touch with themselves and their inner wisdom. But I do recommend meditation, but it's not for everybody.
Yeah. So, do I have to do the whole meditation if I want to get spiritual? Do I got to sit and do all that yoga-ish sort of meditation, or is there some other ways I can get around it? Like, I'm not a religious person. I'm an atheist. And is there other ways I can spiritually connect with myself?
Again, so let's first of all this differentiate between religion and spirituality, okay. And that's key. And I'm glad you're bringing this up, because I have clients across the spectrum, from devout religion to devout atheist. And you could be a spiritually intelligent leader or person and be an atheist. So if you go back to this list of qualities of purpose and service and humility and gratitude and beauty and integrity, you don't have to be religious or even spiritual to have integrity, to have a sense of purpose, to express gratitude, to practice forgiveness, to practice compassion. These are values that are now in modern positive psychology are understood to be strong contributor. You could be a spiritually intelligent person and be an atheist. There's no issue with that. And if you don't like meditating, as I said, there are other ways. The key is to know yourself, whether it's through journaling or through just contemplation or through taking time and going for a walk in the woods or going scuba diving or going swimming. Different people, clear their mind, tune into their intuition, and get access to their inner wisdom through different tools. Meditation is one, but you don't have to be a meditator to be spiritually intelligent.
I usually get most of my meditation experience walking through woods, as you mentioned. But usually it's carrying a body of my enemy, and we're going to bury them in the woods. So that makes me feel really good. So, I think that's kind of meditation. Is that how that works?
Whatever works for you, Chris. You know Chris better than Yosi.
Yeah.
Chris knows Chris better than Yosi knows Chris.
Yeah. Actually, it's more meditative if you let them dig their own grave. You don't want to dig it because that's not very meditative. It's not very peaceful to sit there and dig. So you have them do the digging, and then you just tell them, don't cry so much. Just dig. And then that's very meditative. Anyway, I'm just kidding. Don't do that, folks. Attorney said. But
it's interesting you go to the woods, because in the woods, in nature, we see the creative intelligence of life.
Oh, yeah.
And when we see the creative intelligence of life, we're part of it. And that puts us in touch with the mystery of the life force.
Yeah. That's why I tell them, shut up and dig. I'm trying to meditate here. That's what I tell my enemies.
Yeah, your enemies.
Digging the hole. So there's that. You got that going for you. Anyway, what have we maybe touched on or teased out about your book and some of the things you do privately in your courses and helping people with leadership?
What's the question again? I missed it.
What have we talked about maybe that we need to cover? I know you have a couple courses here, private or community coaching, private, confident, and CEO coach, 360-degree feedback. Tell us about some of these things you do for services on your website.
As you mentioned, I coach CEOs. One of the things I do is I sometimes work with their team, and sometimes I do a 360 feedback where get feedback from their team. And I have an assessment instrument called Spiritually Intelligent Leadership. You could do a self-assessment. You could do a 360 where other people around you rate you. You could find how your self-perception maps in with other people's perception. You might discover pleasant surprises. You think, oh, I'm not so funny. Or maybe you think you're very funny, but other people don't find it, or vice versa. So you can have pleasant surprises. You can have yellow flags. You can learn about yourself. You can learn about how other people. The other place where I bring this to work, and I haven't written a book about it, but someday I will, is about in relationships and couples work. My other passion is how spiritual intelligence plays into romantic partnerships. And so that's another area I work with couples on viewing their relationship as a crucible for, having passionate love that inspires and facilitates their growth and their healing. And that's where magic can happen, and where we can, both merge with our partner into a sense of unity, go from the separate egoic self to a sense of a we, but then reemerge into our autonomy. So in a romantic partnership, you want to move and flow between our unity, the we, that's us, and then each of us. So there's you, there's me, there's we, and then there's the one. And it's a dance of love as we merge and emerge, move into unity and autonomy and sovereignty. I hope I'm making sense.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we all need that from all aspects of life, whether personal or business as well. So give us your final thoughts as we go out. Tell people how they can onboard with you. How do they reach out to you? How do they handshake with you on the website? Find out if the two of you can work together in coaching. Tell people where to pick up the book and your .com.
Yeah, you can go to, as I mentioned, maybe you could put that in the show notes, yosiamram.net or yosiamram.com. You could go to my YouTube channel, which is at Awakening Spiritual Intelligence, one word, and that has all the information to my websites and free videos and shorts and long talks. But, as a parting thought, you said, is there anything else? I would just say one thing. This may sound a little woo-woo, but what the heck, we're going out on a limb.
Sure.
But when you think about life and this universe, everything in our universe is kind of finite. Okay, I have my water bottle here. I took a sip. There's less water there. I have $100 in my pocket. I give you one. I have one less dollar. But what in life is self-generative and unlimited? It's love. If I have love in my heart and I share some of that love with you through some kindness, through a joke, through a compliment, however way it is, I don't have less love in my heart. I don't have less kindness. Actually, my heart's capacity for love and kindness and joy grows. And I would just encourage people to tune into our heart's capacity for love and kindness and joy, gratitude, appreciation, and spread that around you, whether it's your work team, your personal relationship, your neighborhood, with the cashier in the supermarket. And life is just flows through us, and we feel good, and we share these moments of connection. And whether it comes back to us or not, we feel better about ourselves and how life expresses itself through us.
Oh, most definitely. Feeling better about ourselves is everything. So thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. It's been a joyful and a delightful being with you.
That's what we try and do here. So thanks, Manis, for tuning in. Order up the book wherever fine books are sold. You can find it on Amazon or other great places, called Spiritually Intelligent Leadership, How to Inspire by Being Inspired. Thank you very much, sir, for being on the show with us. We really appreciate it. Thanks, Arnold, for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1, the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe, or else we'll see you next time.